Have you ever found yourself standing in the ruins of a perfectly made plan? We spend so much of our lives building, constructing our futures, securing our relationships, and trying to carefully control every unpredictable wave that comes our way. But then, without warning, the tide turns. A sudden loss, a broken dream, or a detour we never asked for leaves us feeling adrift, looking up at the sky and asking, why? Why did this happen to me? In these moments of profound stillness and quiet heartache, Buddhist philosophy offers a gentle whisper: the universe is not punishing you. Beneath the surface of what feels like cruel chaos, there is a hidden, intelligent rhythm. If you are carrying the heavy weight of the unexpected today, stay with me. Breathe. Because the truth waiting for you might just change how you see everything. 1. The illusion of good and bad. From the moment we are born, we are taught to categorize the world. We build mental boxes and meticulously sort every experience that comes our way. A promotion at work, a new relationship, a sunny day, these go immediately into the box labeled good. A sudden illness, a financial loss, a painful breakup, these are hastily shoved into the box labeled bad. We spend our days desperately chasing the good and exhausting ourselves trying to outrun the bad. But what if this rigid way of seeing the world is exactly what causes our deepest suffering? What if our human vision is simply too narrow to understand the vast, unfolding masterpiece of our own lives? In Zen philosophy, there is a profound understanding that the universe does not operate in black and white. To illustrate this, there is an ancient story about an old farmer who lived in a small, remote village. This farmer was not a wealthy man. His most valuable possession was a single, beautiful, strong horse that helped him plow his fields and provide for his family. One crisp morning, the farmer went out to the stable only to find the gate wide open. His prized horse had run away into the distant hills. When the villagers heard the news, they rushed to his dusty courtyard, shaking their heads in sympathy. "Oh, what a tragedy," they cried. "Your only horse is gone. How will you work the land? Such terrible, terrible luck." The old farmer, leaning calmly on his wooden fence, looked out toward the horizon. His face was entirely untroubled. He simply breathed in the morning air and replied softly, "We'll see." A few days later, a loud commotion echoed through the village. The farmer's horse had returned, but it had not come back alone. It had brought with it a magnificent herd of wild horses from the mountains. Suddenly, the poorest farmer in the village was the wealthiest. The neighbors came running back, their eyes wide with envy and excitement. "This is amazing," they cheered. "You are rich now. What an incredible blessing. Such wonderful luck." The old farmer gently stroked the mane of his returning horse, his expression as calm as a still pond. He simply whispered, "We'll see." The following week, the farmer's young son began the hard work of taming the new, wild horses. While attempting to ride a particularly spirited stallion, he was thrown violently to the ground, shattering his leg. The village doctor was called, and the diagnosis was grim: the boy would walk with a severe limp for the rest of his life. The neighbors, ever quick to judge, gathered around the house, wringing their hands. "Your only son is crippled. Who will help you with the harvest now? Such devastating, awful luck." The old farmer, sitting quietly by his son's bedside, wiped the sweat from the boy's forehead. He did not weep, nor did he curse the heavens. He only nodded slowly and said, "We'll see." Barely a month passed before the drums of war began to beat. The emperor's army marched through the small village, forcibly drafting every able-bodied young man into a brutal, senseless conflict. The weeping mothers and fathers knew that most of their sons would never return. But when the soldiers came to the old farmer's house and saw his son's broken, healing leg, they turned away. The boy was spared. The neighbors rushed over, tears of relief streaming down their faces. "Your boy is saved. He doesn't have to go to war." Such incredible, miraculous luck. And once again, with a gentle, knowing smile, the old farmer looked at them and said, "We'll see." This story holds a mirror up to our own lives. We look at our experiences through a tiny keyhole. We see a single frame of a movie and mistakenly believe we understand the entire plot. When a door slams shut in your face, the immediate sting of rejection feels like a curse. But what you cannot see in that painful moment is the storm raging behind that door, a storm you were just protected from. We label an ending as a tragedy, failing to realize that the universe is simply clearing the stage for a new beginning. The truth is, we do not have the infinite wisdom to know what is truly good or bad. What feels like a devastating ending today is often the exact, necessary beginning your soul required. When we stop rushing to label our pain, when we adopt the quiet, unshakable calm of the old farmer, we take our first profound step toward true inner peace. 2. The mud and the lotus. Why suffering is sacred. Look at the modern world around us. We are constantly sold the illusion that a successful life is, above all else, a comfortable life. We are taught to build walls against discomfort, to buy conveniences that eliminate friction, and to numb our sadness the moment it arises. We want our lives to resemble a pristine marble floor, smooth, spotless, and entirely predictable. But there is a profound flaw in this endless pursuit of comfort. A life entirely shielded from pain is also shielded from growth. Comfort, when we cling to it too tightly, becomes a silent seduction. It lulls our spirits to sleep. To understand the true nature of our struggles, we must look to one of the most revered symbols in Buddhist philosophy, the magnificent lotus flower. Imagine, for a moment, a pristine, crystal-clear swimming pool, filled with perfectly purified water. If you were to drop a lotus seed into that flawless, sterile environment, nothing would happen. The seed would simply rest on the bottom, unchanged and dormant, until it eventually withered away. The beautiful, vibrant lotus flower, with its delicate, unstained petals reaching toward the morning sun, cannot survive on clean marble. It cannot grow in purified water. For the lotus to awaken, it absolutely requires the mud. It needs the dark, murky, foul-smelling, heavy sludge at the very bottom of the pond. It is precisely within this suffocating darkness that the seed cracks open. The roots plunge deep into the messy soil, drawing vital nutrients from the decay around them. It pushes its way upward through the heavy, shadowed water, fighting against the resistance, until finally, it breaks the surface and blooms in the light, completely untouched by the dirt that gave it life. The revered Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh summarized this profound truth in 4 simple words: no mud, no lotus. We must come to realize that the suffering we endure in this life is our mud. The sudden heartbreaks, the agonizing rejections, the silent tears shed in the middle of the night, the failures that leave us feeling entirely defeated, these are not signs that you are broken. They are not cosmic punishments handed down by an angry universe. They are the heavy, messy, fertile soil required for your soul to take root. When you lose a job that you thought defined you, you are thrown into the mud of uncertainty. But it is within that exact mud that you are forced to discover a deeper purpose, an identity that is not tied to a paycheck or a title. When a relationship you poured your heart into shatters, you are buried in the mud of grief. Yet, it is only through navigating that agonizing darkness that you cultivate true, radical self-love and a profound, boundless compassion for the suffering of others. The pain cracks your heart open, not to destroy it, but to expand its capacity to love. We suffer because we fight the mud. When darkness surrounds us, our immediate reaction is to thrash against it, to scream at the unfairness of it all, and to demand that life return to the comfortable, pristine marble floor we once knew. We exhaust ourselves trying to wash the mud away. But what if, the next time pain arrives at your door, you stop fighting? What if you paused, took a deep, grounding breath, and acknowledged the sacred nature of your struggle? Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can begin to ask, "What nutrients are hidden in this soil? What is this pain preparing me for? What strength is this struggle demanding I awaken?" Without the heavy weight of our challenges, our inner resilience remains untested and asleep. The grief you carry today is carving out the hollow spaces within you that will eventually hold your greatest joy. Your struggles are the alchemy transforming your spirit from a fragile seed into something unshakable. So, if you feel like you are buried in the dark right now, unable to see the sunlight, take heart. You have not been buried, you have been planted. The mud is not your enemy. It is the very foundation of your awakening. If you are finding a quiet moment of peace in these words, and if this message is helping to lighten the heavy burdens you might be carrying today, I invite you to take a gentle pause with me. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to Buddha Coha. By joining our growing community, you help gently guide this healing light to other souls who might be feeling lost in their own dark waters right now. Take a deep breath, and let us know in the comments below, what is a difficult moment in your past that eventually bloomed into a hidden blessing? We would love to read your story and share in your journey. Now, as we breathe out and let go of our past, let us continue our journey forward, and explore the truly liberating power of impermanence. 3. Anicca, the liberating power of impermanence. If we look closely at the architecture of our lives, we will see that human beings are deeply obsessed with permanence. We build monuments out of stone, hoping they will withstand the centuries. We take thousands of photographs to freeze a single, fleeting moment in time. When we fall in love, we demand that the feeling remain exactly as fiery and flawless as the very first day. We want the good times to last forever, and we want the painful times to vanish instantly. We try to pin life down like a butterfly under glass, demanding that it stay still. But life is not a photograph, it is a river. And our frantic, exhausting desire to freeze the river is the very root of our greatest suffering. In Buddhist philosophy, this desperate clinging is known as dukkha. We suffer, not simply because bad things happen to us, but because we fundamentally misunderstand the nature of reality. We expect things to remain the same, and when they inevitably change, our hearts break. To find true peace, we must turn our attention to one of the most powerful, liberating truths of the universe, Anicca, the law of impermanence. Anicca is the gentle, undeniable reality that absolutely everything is in a constant, unbroken state of flux. Nothing in this universe rests. The earth beneath our feet is spinning. The seasons dissolve into one another, the harsh, freezing winter always, eventually, melts into the gentle warmth of spring. The cells in your own body are constantly dying and being reborn. You are not the same person you were a year ago, a month ago, or even a moment ago. At first glance, the idea of impermanence can feel frightening. It forces us to accept that we cannot hold on to our youth, our loved ones, or our perfect days forever. But if you look deeper, if you sit quietly with this truth, you will discover that Anicca is not a tragedy. It is the ultimate liberation. Think about it, if nothing ever changed, healing would be entirely impossible. If our emotional states were permanent, a broken heart would remain broken for eternity. The grief that brings you to your knees today would trap you forever in that single moment of despair. A mistake you made in your past would define every day of your future. But because of Anicca, because of the sacred law of impermanence, your pain is not a life sentence. It is simply a passing season. There is an ancient wisdom story about a powerful king who called his wise men together and gave them a task. "I want you to craft me a ring," the king commanded, "and hidden inside this ring, I want an inscription. It must be a phrase that is true in every situation. It must give me hope when I am utterly defeated, and it must humble me when I am experiencing great triumph." The wise men thought for days, and finally, they presented the king with a simple, unadorned ring. When the king looked inside, he read 4 quiet words, "This too shall pass." When you are engulfed in the darkness of an unexpected tragedy, when you lose a job, or when a relationship shatters, your mind will try to convince you that the pain will last forever. It will tell you that the dark clouds have permanently blocked out the sun. But you must remember that you are not the clouds. You are the sky. The sky does not panic when a dark storm rolls in. The sky does not fight the lightning or try to push the heavy rain clouds away. The sky simply holds the space, vast and unbothered, knowing that the storm is subject to the law of Anicca. The storm is temporary. The sky remains. When you truly embrace the power of impermanence, the anxiety of uncertainty begins to melt away. You realize that you do not need to control the future because whatever happens, it will continuously flow and transform. By accepting that this too shall pass, you stop fighting the current. You finally allow yourself to float, trusting that the water will carry you exactly where you need to go. 4. The river of Dharma and the art of Wu-Wei. When we finally accept that everything in life is impermanent and constantly changing, a new, deeply comforting question arises. Is this change just random, meaningless chaos? When our carefully constructed plans fall apart, is it simply bad luck in a cold, indifferent universe? The Buddhist answer to this is a beautiful, resounding no. Beneath the swirling surface of what appears to be chaos, there is a profound, unseen order. There is a secret, intelligent heartbeat to the universe, a natural rhythm that guides the unfolding of all things. In Eastern philosophy, this unseen harmony is often referred to as Dharma. It is not a rigid set of rules written in a book, rather, it is the quiet intelligence that turns acorns into towering oak trees, that guides the stars across the night sky, and that tells the birds when it is time to migrate south before the winter snows fall. Look closely at the natural world. Have you ever seen a tree struggling, filled with anxiety, trying to force its leaves to grow faster? Have you ever witnessed a flower gripping its petals tightly, terrified of blooming before it is perfectly ready? Nature does not rush, it does not force, and it does not worry. Yet, miraculously, everything is accomplished in its exact, perfect time. We, as human beings, are the only creatures on this earth who actively fight our own nature. We are the only beings who stand in the middle of a rushing, magnificent river and exhaust ourselves trying to swim upstream. We have convinced ourselves that life is a battleground to be conquered, rather than a mystery to be experienced. We believe that if we just push harder, stress more, and grip the steering wheel of our lives tightly enough, we can force the universe to bend to our specific timeline. But think about how incredibly exhausting that is. Think about the heavy burden of believing that every single outcome rests entirely on your shoulders. When life refuses to follow our strict itinerary, we suffer deeply. we feel entirely defeated. To end this suffering, Zen teachings invite us to practice a profound art known as Wu Wei. Often translated from ancient Taoist and Zen texts as effortless action, or non-doing, Wu Wei is frequently misunderstood by the modern mind. It does not mean laziness. It does not mean sitting idly by, throwing your hands up, and letting life trample over you. It does not mean giving up on your dreams. Instead, Wu Wei is the highest form of spiritual intelligence. It is the art of acting in perfect harmony with the natural flow of life, rather than thrashing blindly against it. It is the art of being like water. Water is the softest, most yielding substance on earth, yet it can carve through solid rock over time. When a river encounters a massive, immovable boulder in its path, it does not stop and argue with the stone. It does not scream out in frustration or feel like a failure because its path was blocked. It simply, gracefully, flows around the obstacle. It adapts. It yields. And in its yielding, it continues its journey to the vast ocean, completely undefeated. When you practice Wu Wei, you learn to treat the obstacles in your life like the boulders in that river. When a door slams shut in your face, whether it is a job you desperately wanted, a relationship you tried to force into working, or a financial plan that collapsed, you stop beating your fists against the locked wood. You stop asking, "Why is life punishing me?" You step back, you breathe, and you realize that a closed door is simply the universe's way of redirecting your flow. Rejection is so often the universe's ultimate protection. The job you lost might have kept you trapped in a life that was too small for your spirit. The relationship that was shattered might have been the very thing blocking you from discovering your true worth. The delay that frustrates you to tears today is often the exact period of waiting required for the pieces of your true destiny to fall perfectly into place. You cannot force a flower to bloom before its season, and you cannot force your life to make sense before it is time. Imagine a man who falls into a fast-moving, turbulent river. In his terror, he fights the current. He thrashes his arms, he kicks frantically, and he uses every ounce of his energy trying to battle the water. Quickly, he becomes exhausted, swallows water, and begins to drown. But if that same man simply takes a breath, leans back, and surrenders his weight to the water, he will float. The very current he was fighting will gently carry him toward the safety of the shore. To trust in the Dharma, to practice Wu Wei, is to stop thrashing. It is the profound realization that you do not need to control every detail of your existence because you are being carried by a current much older and much wiser than you. Life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. Every twist, every turn, and every unexpected rapid is part of the secret flow, guiding you exactly to where you are meant to be. Conclusion: finding your peace in the unknown. As we reach the quiet end of our journey today, I want to invite you to take a deep, slow breath. Wherever you are right now, whatever weight is pressing heavily on your shoulders, whatever unspoken worries are keeping you awake in the quiet hours of the night, just breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension in your jaw release. Permit yourself, just for this single, fleeting moment, to stop figuring everything out. We spend so much of our beautiful, fragile lives running. We run toward the future we desperately want, and we run away from the past we are terrified of repeating. We exhaust our spirits trying to solve the massive, complex puzzle of our existence in a single day. But life is not a math equation waiting to be solved. It is a mystery meant to be lived. If you are watching this right now, standing in the middle of a chapter that feels confusing, painful, or entirely broken, I want you to hear these words and let them settle deep into your bones. You have not failed, and you have not been forgotten. The universe is not punishing you. The sudden detour you were forced to take is not a sign that you have lost your way. It is simply the mysterious, intelligent flow of the Dharma, gracefully redirecting you toward a destination your soul has not yet comprehended. Remember the old farmer, leaning on his wooden fence, calmly watching his fortunes rise and fall. He understood that our human vision is incredibly limited. We only see the single thread of this exact moment, but the universe is weaving an entire, magnificent tapestry. The very thing that feels like a devastating ending today, the closed door, the painful goodbye, the shattered plan, is secretly creating the necessary space for your true life to begin. You simply cannot see the whole picture yet, and that is completely okay. You do not need to have all the answers to take the next gentle step forward. Remember the lotus flower. It does not despise the heavy, suffocating mud that surrounds it. It uses the darkness. It draws strength from the mess, knowing that the pristine, beautiful blossom it will soon become is only possible because of the dirt it fought through. Your current struggles, your deepest griefs, and your silent tears are your mud. They are the sacred, fertile soil actively growing your wisdom, expanding your compassion, and forging an unshakable inner peace that no outside storm can ever wash away. Remember the vast, unbothered sky. The dark, heavy clouds of anxiety, fear, and uncertainty will inevitably roll into your life. The winds of change will howl, and the rain will fall. But those storms are not you. They are simply weather, subject to the sacred law of Anicca, impermanence. They will pass. They always do. You are the endless, quiet sky behind the clouds, capable of holding the storm without ever being destroyed by it. And finally, remember the rushing river. Stop exhausting your beautiful spirit by swimming upstream. Practice the gentle art of Wu Wei. Stop fighting the reality of what is. When you finally surrender your rigid, desperate grip on how you thought your life had to look, you open your hands to receive the life that is actually waiting for you. Let go of the heavy illusion of control. Lean back, trust the water, and allow the current to carry you. Finding your peace in the unknown does not mean that you will never feel afraid again. It means that you walk hand in hand with your fear, trusting deeply that everything, every single heartbreak, every quiet victory, and every sudden change, is happening exactly as it should, for a profound reason that will one day reveal its brilliant purpose. You are exactly where you are meant to be right now. You are safe. You are growing. And you are so deeply loved by the universe that breathes life into you. If you found a moment of comfort, a quiet realization, or a gentle healing in these words today, I invite you to subscribe to Buddha Coha. Join our growing, beautiful community of souls walking this path of mindfulness and awakening together. Please, share your own journey in the comments below. Tell us about a time in your life when a devastating loss secretly turned into your greatest hidden blessing. Your story might be the exact light someone else desperately needs to read today. Until we meet again, may you walk gently upon the earth. May you trust the unfolding of your unique journey. And may you find a deep, unshakable peace in the beautiful unknown.